Muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es, I'm sorry, I was talking in Spanish. Good evening. My name is Francisco Rico Martinez. I am the co-director of the FCJ Refugee Center. And welcome to the webinar on humanitarian and compassionate application or grounds for permanent resident. So you will see my face only at the beginning, but then you will see the presentation. So thank you for joining us. I hope that you enjoy. And you have in your right side, you have the item for questions. So you can write it down, the questions there, and I will try to answer all of them. But remember that you can contact us, if you are not able to ask the question, you can contact us later, by phone or email. So the application is a path for regularization, is the presentation for humanitarian and compassionate applications. So let me start. So the agenda is very short, but the presentation is a long one. You can see what is the agency application, who is eligible, which document do you need to collect. So all of that will be our presentation, and we have the guide is available at our website, for the presentation and other documents that you can check in our website for the humanitarian application. So the disclaimer is classic. This is not a legal advice. This is an information sharing among peers. So what is the humanitarian and compassionate application? Well, you can see, in my opinion, is when you try to do everything to stay in Canada, or you see that no application is available for you, or you can try different things and that nothing works, is the time that you submit the humanitarian application for permanent resident. No, so but you have to meet different criteria and be eligible to make this application. Then that's the whole package that we are going to see today. So what it is an application for permanent resident. So if you succeed, you will be called for permanent resident in Canada. When it is justified by a humanitarian and compassionate consideration, you will receive. You will take in account all the personal information on the interests of the child, the situation of the family, the labor, the work, the school, everything. That is what is the humanitarian and compassionate considerations. And the agency doesn't stop removal procedures. You can apply for a process to stay the removal in case that you need it, but automatically, if you submit an application for humanitarian reason, that doesn't stop removal procedures. During the process, after you submit the application for permanent resident, under humanitarian and compassionate application, during the time that you're waiting, you don't have access to a work permit, or you are not able, if you had a work permit before, you may have problems renewing the work permit. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes doesn't, but you have to go with the idea that during the process waiting for the humanitarian application, you may not have access to a work permit. And the humanitarian and compassionate doesn't provide the applicants waiting for a decision with any type of immigration status in Canada. So in that case, so you are in limbo and you are under at risk of the Canadian authorities for removal, detention, so different things. There is not a very safe process. Could be, but there is not. Humanitarian application doesn't stop. Yeah, I already said that. And who is who is ineligible? Basically, the persons that are not eligible are the ones that have a refugee claimant pending. Um, and who is these people? Who is the persons that have a refugee claimant pending? Well, you are waiting for your refugee hearing. You are not entitled to make a humanitarian application. If you receive a negative decision and if you appeal that decision and you're waiting for a decision, you are not entitled to. And if you, after that, go to the federal court and is waiting for a decision from the federal court, you are not entitled to to submit a humanitarian application. The application is not processed. So you have to be clear that you don't have anything to do with the refugee venue. So you already finished the venue or you haven't started an application for refugee status, because if you started, you have to receive a negative decision in order that you can submit an application for. So then we have another situation that is related to the first one that we were explaining. You know, if a person is waiting for a refugee claimant, is not eligible. So, and that materializes in, the ineligibility continue at least for 12 months. If a person has filed a refugee claimant, has to wait for a rejection, abandonment, withdrawal, no? But they have to be, after that rejection, they have to wait for 12 months to submit a humanitarian application. And this has to be from the latest decision in the process, in the refugee process. That, as I said, could be the for the refugee hearing or for the refugee appeal or from the federal court. But if you have one of those pending, it's not possible to start counting the 12 months. So in that case, from the date that you receive the three that I have mentioned, or each one of them, you can say, well, I'm going to start not continuing with the refugee process. Um, I will wait for my 12 months to do the humanitarian application. But there is exceptions. And the exceptions for this 12 months bar is the best interest of the child. So if there is children involved in the application, your dependents, your children, and the youngest the children is, the strongest this consideration is. Because if you have a 17 years old or almost 18, so will be complicated, and you have a 12, 13, 14 is great. You have younger ones, it's better, because this is children that are going to be affected by the removal procedures. So in that way, so if you have a family here and you have children here, even if they are not born in Canada, so you can have an exception for the bar of the 12 months after you receive a negative decision in the refugee process. The other exception is the medical conditions that will be affected by the removal procedures or by returning to your country. But remember that it's not, I have a high blood pressure. Has to be a medical condition that really deserve or make an impact in your country. Example, some countries don't have access to dialysis and you have access here. So if you are removed, you die. You will, you know, sooner or later. Or you have a serious problem, economical issues to be close to a machine, a dialysis machine. So this is just an example. Could be other medical conditions, but has to be a strong one, a medical condition that is difficult to deal with. So you have that one, you can apply for the exception, but you have to prove the medical condition. It's the same with children. You have to prove that you have children. Okay, so who could be included in the application? So the principal applicant, the spouse, the independent children in Canada. But everybody has to be in Canada. If one of them is not in Canada, it's not possible to include it in the humanitarian application. So, if, for instance, if you can mention it, in the application, you are obligated to mention it, but you are not entitled to include them in the application. You have to win your case here for the people that are in Canada, and then you may do a sponsorship application for the rest of the family. So, but the principal applicant, the spouse, and the dependent has to be in Canada. If there are adults, children, or other adults in the family, like grandparents, they need to complete a separated application, for the humanitarian application. So it's not an, is still my dependent, is an adult, is but I will include it as a dependent. Yes, if you're dependent, technically we know, and culturally we'll understand that, but in Canada, no. They said, no, if there is an adult, you have to include the application. You have to do their own application, even though you submit it in a group and you do the arguments for the group, the person has to fill up an application separated. If an accompanied minor or a separated minor is going to apply, is considered principal applicant. So if there is just one child here that wants to apply, so they have to pay even for the 550. They don't pay it as a minor. They pay the fees as an adult. This is very unfair, but that's what the rule said. And it's a good idea that if you have a humanitarian possibility, yeah, you try to apply for legal aid to obtain a lawyer that is going to proceed with the application. Of course, legal aid may not grant it because the income that the family has. If the income is high, so that affect and you won't receive the legal aid certificate. If the income is lower, even though they are surviving here, they may have the possibility to obtain legal aid. If you need more information about legal aid, please contact us and we can provide it to you. And if there is an accompanied minor or a separated minor, for sure, it's a good idea that you apply for legal aid in order that you have a lawyer in that case. But the humanitarian application is about hardship, no? If will cause the applicant hardship, to be removed from Canada, for instance. So you are doing very well here, but if you are removed, you're sent it home, you will lose everything that you have built here in the last 3 or 4 years. You have a good job, you have a good income, your children are in the school, and you're sent it home, you will lose all of that. If will cause the applicant hardship at the country of origin, when you arrive at your country, you don't have anything, because you may not have, you may have a lot of years outside your country already. You don't have even a way to find a job, or some of your children don't speak even the language because they were born in outside of your country. So name it. So you have to basically be very clear about the hardship and that is going to affect. The other thing is the hardship then will cause for Canadians. Maybe you have a child. Maybe you have already a Canadian family here that will be affected by your removal. So you have to build the hardship around that, and the hardship the children will face if the applicant have to leave Canada. That's another situation. So if you are the only one that are going to leave and the children are going to stay here in Canada, you know, that may have a very hardship impact in the children. And remember that one of the criteria for the bar, to the exception of the bar, is the best interest of the child. So the best interest of the child has a serious impact in the possibilities to submit a very strong application for HNC. The background facts. Who is included in the application? How old are they? Where are they from? Why did they come to Canada? Why did they stay in Canada that long? Why is their status in Canada? What is their status in Canada? Sorry. And and that's something that you have to start building and recollecting all the information with your with the people that are willing to apply, no? And you can also have that information if you have made a refugee application before, or other applications that you have done. So name it, but you have to build, and all of this uh, is uh, is connected with each other. You know, for instance, how old are you may be connected as well with the humanitarian hardship. Why? Well, I am almost 60. If I go back to my country, nobody's going to hire me. They don't hire people that age. You know, where are you from? Oh, I am from so and so, but I am also a European citizen. Well, in Europe, so you can go back and you can, what I mean. So the where are you from is also important. The What are the people that are going to be included in the application is very important. Who is the principal applicant? So you have to build the background facts, but you have the this information. The source of this information is by the family that you're helping, by the individual that you're helping. You have to ask all these questions and start collecting documents, applications that the person had made, etc. So so we talk about hardship. That is one of the first criteria for humanitarian application. But the other one is establishment, you know, property and asset in Canada. So yeah, the majority of people that come to our office, they have bank accounts, no? But they may be owning a car sometimes, and they have a life insurance. But it's very rare that someone came, I have a property. I mean, I own the house, or I have a mortgage, or this is very rare for the sector that we help, but could be possible that someone has that, you know, and you need to have the supporting documents. You have a bank account, you need to have a bank statement. You are property owner, or own a car, or whatever, you have to do it. If you have a credit card, you can use it. The life insurance, the policy papers. So you have to build the establishment in this particular way. The residents, the de facto residents in Canada, explain why they are in Canada, and use as much as you can elements in favor of the application, and demonstrate that you are staying in Canada sometimes even without status, uh, because there are things beyond the applicant's control. It's not that you just want to be. It's, well, sorry, I cannot go back. I don't have anything to go back. If I go back, this is going to happen. I am supporting my family. I have to be here. Where are they living? Are they good tenants? The neighbors around you know you, and they can give you letters of references or whatever. And the support is document. Then I receive letters of support from your landlord, from the neighbors, whatever. So you need to build in every stage. You need to build evidence, supporting documents. Work. These are very important criteria for establishment. No, it is very important not to be receiving Ontario works, even though there are some exceptions. Then will will be a good idea. Then you have that situation. We can discuss it individually, but the rule is that it's very important not to be receiving Ontario works. You have to include information about your employment, and you have to include proofs, supporting documents about your employment, and could be a reference letter from the employment as well. It's not just to say I'm working. And don't be scared of saying that you're working without a work permit. It's better than you said that than you say, no, I'm not working. And how do you survive in Canada? Well, whatever, my friends. And no, working is a human rights issue, and working or work to have a job prove establishment. And sometimes the employer has a problem giving you a letter of employment because I will have a problem and whatever. So you can explain to them, if you don't have a problem hiring me, you won't have a problem by saying that I work for you, which is true. It's not like in United States that people has a penalties for people hiring people without status and whatever. No. Here, if your employer treats you well and respect all the labor laws, the employer will be fine, and is not a reason to be scared. Um, if you are not authorized to work in Canada and you are scared to work, even though you're working but you're scared to say it, so it will be a good idea that you find someone that is willing to hire you if you have a work permit. For instance, as I said, you can say that you're working irregularly, that you don't have a work permit and you're working, that you are working cash, whatever. But if you said, no, no, I am not working. I have a lot of people around me that will be hiring me to work, but I am not working. So please obtain the letters. Continue with the establishment. Do the applicants pay taxes? Sometimes they do. So will be a good idea to submit all the income tax reports that you have submit. The pay stubs, the tax returns, articles of incorporation when you have a corporation, financial papers, letters of support from bosses, supervisor, co-workers, name it. So the job, as you can see, and financial resources here, and the way of living has a very strong, support for a humanitarian application. So, family connections. We continue with establishment. Um, you have to include information about the family of the applicant, and if some of them have a permanent resident status in Canada, relatives, brothers, or the mother, or uncles, or that are supporting you, and they have to give you letters of support. Sometimes members of your close family are a permanent resident or Canadian citizens, for different reasons. So, education. It is important that you have Canadian trainings, not only for children that they go to the schools and, high school or wherever, and sometimes they manage to go to college or university. I said that the parents need to go to ESL classes if they are lacking English, online if it's possible, any trainings due to a particular occupation or skills, whatever. So, but you have to provide information that you are trying to integrate in this society by the effort of be trained, they be educated and speak English and different things. And you can also have a supporting document or certificate, letters of attendance, letters of support from the teachers, classmates, the different things that you have been doing. No, you see, continue establishment. And this is the support from the community. And you can read everything that we would love to have. If you attend a religious congregation or a church or a faith group, please, we need a letter of them supporting you. You need volunteer work. If you do volunteer work, friendship. So it's also important. If you are helping someone, you know, an elderly or you participate in organizing or just participate in community events. And you need to have a supporting documents for this. This is a huge, huge task, to have all the supporting documents. It's not to fill the forms. The forms, you can fill it up easy, relatively, and but the problem is to have all these letters and I'm not saying that you need to have 1,000 letters, but you need to have several ones, then prove all of the stuff that we are saying. If you have a one gap, if you don't do volunteer work, or you don't have letters of support from friends or relatives or community members, if you never have participated in a community program or whatever, this is an area that is very analyzed very closely by immigration officers deciding about this. And many people that come to our office when they reach for the first time, they don't have a clue about how important is the participation in the community. The other ones, you may have it, no? Work, residence, work, all the proofs of employment and income, the family connections and friends and whatever. Education sometimes is not there because I don't have a time to do it. Community participation is not there because I don't have a time to do it. Sorry, I believe you, but the immigration officer is not going to believe you. They believe that a person has to make up for the issue that they don't have another option to stay in Canada. Is that right, that concept? Maybe no, but I am saying that that's the concept that they have. So I have to emphasize in the letters of support, no? It's not possible that you can say what the letter contain is important, no? Specific information, how they know each other, what do they do together, how will life be worse without the applicant, but also recommendations letters. Letters talking about the character that you have, the personality, how deserving you are, how helpful is that you are here. So the letter of support has to be an individual letter written by someone. That's why we don't give you sort of a format about what to say, what to do, because it's up to the person that is giving you the letter, but has to be the most direct and personalized letter, supporting letter that you can imagine. No? One letter saying that the applicant is kind and generous is as good as 10 letters, no? You know what I mean? One letter saying that you're kind, you're generous, because sometimes you receive letters from people that said, so is no, I know this person, and yeah, I have been living with this person for this time, but doesn't talk about your character. So that letter, you can use it, but it's much better if the letter describe you as the good person than you are. No? And of course, at the end, we need to talk about the country conditions back home. You may have letters talking about country conditions in terms of employment, in terms of social and economic issues, in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of how unstable is the political situation, how bad was after the hurricane or after the tremblors or the terremote, or I mean, how the society itself in back home is basically just surviving, and to send you back will be a catastrophe for everybody. So you can talk about it. Um, the official letters should look official, and please don't alterate the letters. Has to be in a letterhead, signed by someone. Sometimes we said, "Oh, this letter is very good, but could you ask for a new one because that was issued a year ago?" Um, some people go and just change the date and bring it back the same letter. No, that's what we are not asking. We are asking that the person go and talk to this the person that is issuing the letter or the institution, and ask for a new one, because it's a good idea to submit things that are very relevant in the last 6 months of life in Canada. Letters in other languages are fine if they are translated, but the best thing will be in English directly. Because if a permanent resident is giving you a letter of support in your language and doesn't speak any English, that talks volumes. If the letter is about the situation back home and about how you are going to be, the hardship that you are going to face, no problem, we can do the translation. But it's better to have the letters of support in English. Uh, when letters look the same, it's problematic. Could be, the officer will say, "Oh yeah, sure, you did one letter, and now everybody just changed the name and the date, and is more or less the same." That could be considered as a fraudulent. So that is not the person that is doing the letter, the one that is written it, is you or somebody else. Um, yeah, copy paste is the same. Um, And of course, we will have to use all that information, and lawyers use all these letters and all these documents, supporting document letter, and we quote in the submission that we do to support the application for HNC. Hardship, discrimination, no persecution. Persecution is about refugees. It's about when someone wants to kill you back home. But this is discrimination that put at risk, your life sometimes, but not because they are looking for you. It's because the general conditions of your area or your country are very bad. Health is always a good idea to say how, particularly there is a medical condition in the family. Education related to future of the children is very important. you know Work, the work that you do here may not exist back home, and you will lose the whole experience, Canadian experience, and you will face poverty. That's the things that you have to prove in terms of the hardship that you are going to face. Um, and we can give you examples of the discrimination, no? The discrimination that you can face here as well, you know, or the discrimination that you receive in your country because you are a deportee, or the expectations and the violence that you receive because they believe that if you're back is because you bring money and resources, and So you have to try to find information about all of these type of discrimination linked to you by staying outside the country for a while. I am not going to go in detail about the health, but include the the health system back home is inadequate. That basically what you have to prove, and it's inadequate for everybody, not only for a one member of the family. And particularly, this is important if you have, as I said, medical conditions in the family, poverty. Um, so some people are here receiving ODSP versus returning to a country that doesn't support the people that had any disabilities. So that's a very strong argument. If you're going to be living in poverty for, I don't know, for how long, or maybe forever, because you don't have anything to go back to that country. And you need to have documents of support. Then you have country condition documents and statements of many organizations, but also you can find expert back home, than your maybe your families and your doctors and or assessment and different institutions of union does about the future of the occupation that you have back home. Lack of establishment in country of return, you know how long you have been outside, the language than the country than speaking that language in that country, the lack of establishment that you will have. Be wary of including evidence of establishments in country of return. No, so you have to be very clear that you don't have a future back home. You have to establish it. Look who I am here. Look what I was able to do. And back home, I won't have anything. The best interest of the child. We can have a presentation about this, but the whole hour. But maybe let me summarize it in these different categories. Well, if you have applicants that are children, so of course you have to have a lot of information about their situation here and how the situation is going to be back home. If you have a Canadian children or child that were born here, of the applicant is also a very important to document what will be the effect. Canadian citizen related to the applicant. Sometimes is a nephew that is growing with you, and you take care of the nephew, and what I mean. But it's a Canadian citizen, and if you remove, that will be a very problematic. Children outside of Canada supported by the applicant. Sometimes you are here supporting your children. You want to bring it here, no? Of course, but in the meantime, if you don't send resources, they will not survive. Canadian children who depend on the applicant, no, for different reasons. So any children that will be impacted, of course, the children that closer to you is the ones that are very strong. If the children start to be a little bit farther from you, so it is the child of a neighbor, then so will be a little bit more difficult. But is the child of your sister or is your own child? This is making the application very strong. So the letters of the supporting documents, document that show the relation, birth certificate, if you are the father or the mother, letters from the children, including friends and or classmates that are going to be impacted by the situation. Drawings and photographs where the child or the children are doing many activities, how they are becoming the new Canadians that you are dreaming to be. Letter from adults about the children, that they know them, could be the teachers, could be the person that is taking care of them, could be the neighbors, medical records in case then they have a conditions that will be impacted by the deportation, letters from healthcare professionals, money transfer, as we say it, if you send money back home, report cards is very important. Teachers, sometimes the teacher is reluctant to do a letter, but you can talk to the social worker that is in every school, and the social worker may give you a much better letter in case than the teacher doesn't want to give you one. The country conditions, because you have to name it, you can use the national documentation package of the IRB just to see how the situation is described. There is a lot of elements of thermoviolence, poverty, name it. You can also see if there is articles in the newspapers about situations that happen back home. Then, for instance, if you are from a country that is devastated, example, Haiti, that is have been devastated by earthquakes, hurricanes, and the political life in the government, corruption, well, name it. So, well, you have an article and you said, I am my family, what I am going to do there when, look the level of life that we have here and over there, nothing. And newspaper articles and journals and, all the information that you can show what you are trying to basically to convince the people to do. So the resources that we have are in terms of the supporting documents are here. You can go to our website, and we have an English version, Spanish version, and Portuguese version. Then you can download, and the document is just a list of documents that we suggest that you collect. Maybe it's not possible to collect all of them, but will be a good idea that you try. And the majority of the documents that we have in this resource are were explained by me and the supporting documents, and you can go in the presentation. This presentation is going to be in the website of our organization this evening or tomorrow morning. You can download it if you want or see it again. And we usually have podcasts and different other interactive mechanisms for you to see more information about that. So before we go to that one, I want to emphasize that you can contact us. You have a We don't want to discuss uh, more very specific things about a case in public. So, but if you have a specific question, you can contact us either by email. You will see the emails at the end, and or by phone. You can call us to our office, and we return the phone calls as soon as we can. I am not committed in 24 hours, but because we are receiving between 60 to 90 phone calls per day, and some of them are people that wants very clear information about these procedures and whatever. But we can talk about your situation in order that you don't discuss this here. The We have different resources in the office. For instance, the free child mining program for kids under 18 is there, and look, the registration is done by Melina, and you can contact us, and the email of Melina is there. So, and as I said, this information will be in our website. So, and you can say, and we support kids that they are learning how to establish themselves in the education system of Canada. And we know that the families that we work, they don't have a lot of resources. So we provide also some materials for them. to do craft or to do music or to learn other ways to be occupied, to be busy. Because to be in the house and a small house with nothing to do could be one of the most frustrating things. We also talk about the safe environment. So it will be a good idea that if you have a child, contact us in order that we can see how we can incorporate. Everything is free of charge. So, and it's online for the moment. Maybe we will continue after the pandemic to have something more in person, but the online thing is working very well. And something that doesn't appear here is yes, sorry, I didn't see it. Is the free virtual classes of English, you know, and beginners and intermediate. So we have it there. The basically the schedule is there, and the sign up way is there as well. So please, if you need English, we is free of charge. The demand is great now, and we have many groups now. And Melina is very busy trying to organize more groups. You may take a while now because we may put you in a waiting list, but try. If we have more people, we may open another groups or whatever. So, but we do everything free of charge. And the last thing that I want to say is about the temporary COVID isolation emergency support. This is, we have a way to support people that don't have access to any other benefits in Canada. They don't have access to unemployment insurance. They don't have access to Ontario Works. They don't have access to anything, but they have COVID, or they were exposed to COVID, or they are in quarantine for COVID for reasons of exposure or whatever. So we can help you even financially. This is a program that is going to be short in time, but we can do it. And you see, there is the emails and the extension numbers and everything there. Please contact us if you have a situation or you know someone that is in this situation in order that we can help you. The information is there. We also do a distribution of food. We provide food every Thursday. So tomorrow is a very busy day here in our office. People come, pick up food. Some people are not able to leave their homes because they don't have the resources to do it. So we do an assessment and we can also distribute the food to your home in case that you are in need. So that's the program. I know it's palliative program, but people need these type of services during this pandemic. So, so this is my name. This is the name of Diana Gallego as well. We are the person that take all the questions about humanitarian, about immigration and refugee issues. Look, that's the way that you can contact us. So, so thank you very much. So now I will go to try to answer the questions that we have. Let me see if we have questions. Yes, we have questions. I will stop talking for uh, 3 minutes because I have a glass of water here. I will rest my voice for a moment, and then we are going to start doing the questions and answers. Okay, don't go away. At the latest 5 minutes, I will be back. It's a small reset. Okie dokie, I am back. So my name is Francisco Rico Martinez. I am the co-director of the FCJ Refugee Center, and I will start trying to answer the question. The first question was about if you are mute and you are not going to talk. Yes, you're mute. So the way that you ask question is by writing the question. So the first question that I have is if applicants doesn't receive even an implied status. No, it does. It doesn't. So if you submit an application and you don't have any other temporary status, you don't receive a temporary status by applying to agency. That change if you are accepted in principle later on. But if not, you continue being without status until the end of the process. If a single parent is outside Canada, can she apply from outside Canada? No. Um, there is no possible to do a humanitarian application from outside Canada. This is an inland process. This is a in Canada process. So the person has to come to Canada and try to establish themselves here, and then they can apply. But there is no possible to make an application from outside. So don't raise the expectation. What's the rate of acceptance in OHNC? Good question. Nationally is around the 35% rate of acceptance, but don't get this, the I don't want it and you get stuck with that one. Depends of each case. And if you manage to have documents about everything that we're talking about, and you submit a very strong application on establishment, community participation, a hardship and all the stuff, you have a chance to win. The role of our organization is to try to get you to a 50-50 possibility when you put everything that you come in your 50, and then there is a decision from an immigration officer, and we have some officers that are not that sympathetic to non-status people or people that are applying for HNC. So even if you make a strong application, sometimes you could receive a negative decision. But the rate of acceptance nationally, if I am not wrong, is around 35%. What what are the general employment that you refer to? We don't. The general employment, I believe, I am talking about any employment, any job that you find is a general employment. And cleaning is a general employment, and sometimes construction, if you don't have our permit and you don't have a status in Canada, is considered any employment, anything that provide income. I am referring to anything that provide income that help you to survive in Canada could be used for HNC. If I gave birth to my baby in here in Canada and we have removal process that is possible to pardon because of the baby. Yes, there is possible that you submit not a pardon. Remember that the remember, sorry, but so I have an interruption here to put these slides back in order that all the information is there. So you have a Canadian child, you can try to stop a removal procedure. I am not saying that it's going to work, but you can try to stop if you are facing deportation. But it's a good idea that you said, I have a Canadian child, but I also have a pending humanitarian application, or I have something pending. Because if you only have the child, maybe that is not going to work. But if you have a child and you are doing something to stay in Canada and you are doing a humanitarian application, the federal court may be accepting that reason. Are there any opportunity for a student to work with you guys? Of course, we have many students than the international students, than we open positions. We do placement as well. We do volunteer work. We do many things, here in the office. In this particular moment, we don't have a space. We don't have any program or any openings. But of course, we have at least two of our workers here were international students that are working, here and trying to make their way to the permanent residence situation. Hi, I would like to know if I have my older son, 16 years old, in my country. Can I include him on the application? You can mention your child, any child that is back home, you can mention it if there is, but that doesn't mean that you include it. Only include in the application the people that is already here in Canada. It's not possible to include in an application someone that is not here in Canada. Remember, you mention it, but you don't include it. So there is an email is a question in Spanish. Um, so there is I will try to answer it later on in the presentation. I will answer all the questions in English first. Um, um, my question is, what is happening if I already have the letters of support and it's been almost a year? Uh, Now, and my document haven't gone yet to the immigration office. They have like a year ago. So as I said, you can use the documents as a background. If the documents are older than a year or more than a year, you can use it as a background. Look what I have been doing in Canada. But you need letters that are more recent ones. If not, your application will be rejected because you are not submitting current information about your establishment in Canada. Regarding the food bank, it is a service for all communities, individuals who are in need. Yes, we prioritize with people in need and don't have a permanent resident status or Canadian citizens. Why? Because permanent resident, they have access to Ontario Works and they have access to many other services. Refugee claimants, they have access to many services as well, including Ontario Works. But there is migrant workers, there is people without status, that they don't have access to all of these services. And this is our priority. But you can contact us and we can discuss the situation. The other question is, so if your SIN is expired, how can you work and pay taxes? Good question. Um, for me, the taxes issue, if you're not allowed to pay taxes, don't pay taxes. But if you want to make an application for a humanitarian and compassionate consideration, you need to be working. Doesn't matter if your social insurance number is valid or no. As I said, that will be an irregular type of work because you may not have a work permit to work, but you have to work to prove that you are established in Canada. Taxes are not totally relevant. You know what I mean? If you have it, great. Work, you need to have it. So they're saying, well done. Please, I would like to ask whether there is anyone that have his HNC application in the system can do to increase the chances of being granted. Yes, there is. When you submit the application, the main thing that you have to do is to submit a complete H&C. Complete. Okay, so you need to have already at the beginning submit everything that you can. So it has to be an application that could be seen for anyone in any moment. But sometimes something change in the during the process. You have a better job, you won the lottery, you whatever, you know what I mean. Someone in your family become very ill, name it, someone die, and so you have all these elements that change or could change the nature of your application and improve it. So in that case, of course, you can submit the application not immediately, but when you receive the application, a letter or an email saying your application have been received and is in somewhere or wherever, you can add more information and you can talk to your lawyer if you have one. Without couple without kids have an opportunity to apply for H&C. Of course they have. Remember that anybody can apply for H&C. What I said is that the person has a refugee procedure open is not possible. But if the person is here working without status, anybody, even single persons, couples without children, families, anybody. What I am trying to say is that the best interest of the child make the application stronger. So I am not saying that please have a baby. No, I am saying that if you have a child, even though he's not born here or born here, that make the application stronger because the best interest of the child is an element that the officer has to consider. How long it had been taking to get a reply decision? Good question. During the pandemic, we have the two experiences. One, some of them have been less than 8 months, 10 months. Sometimes, we don't receive it in 2 years or more. So this is something that we haven't been able to figure it out. What is the rationale behind these differences in terms of processing times of Immigration Canada? But you have to be ready between a year to 3 years for a decision. I want to pay taxes for all my years I have been in Canada, but is my application have been refused for Canada revenue because I don't have a status. What I can do in that case? Well, if you want to pay taxes, try to continue. But as I said, it is not totally necessary that you pay taxes. One of the arguments that you can use in your humanitarian application is exactly that you want to be permanent resident in order to have the possibility to pay taxes. Some people pay taxes through because they have incorporated a company and they do all the income through the company. You can try to do that one. But if you don't have a social insurance number and you are non-status, will be very difficult to do taxes, and you don't have to for the H&C application per se. Um, Thank you. I am doing my placement in a food bank. So there are a lot of seniors who are in need and not able to go outside to get grocery shopping. As I said, our target is could be seniors, but related to the immigration status in Canada. If they are seniors than they are permanent residents, there is many programs that you can link, then they go and distribute food to them. If they are non-status, you can talk to us and no problem, we can try to help you. With the government allowing healthcare workers to apply for PR, do you think I will be extended to other workers? That's what we are working on it. We are working then the program that was issued only for public, for health workers, refugee claimants, and wherever is expanded to essential workers, and the concept of essential workers is expanded. Then it's cover everybody that have to work physically in the place where they are working. For instance, people doing cleaning, persons going to the convenience store as a cashiers or whatever. So all these people that have these essential jobs where the society depend of them, of course, we are trying to do that one. But it's up to the Minister of Immigration to decide. What can we do if they send a removal? We have to wait 9 months to apply to a humanitarian. So, you know, what I said, the humanitarian application is one of the few processes that even if you stay without status, you can submit an application later. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say. You can try to stop the deportation legally, go to the federal court if you have an argument to make, but the majority of cases are not stopped, and therefore you have to make a decision to stay here without status or to go and do or to go and be removed. That's one of the very hard situations that people face in Canada. Uh, my question is that right now I have already applied for HNC, and 2 months ago applied for my work permit and this was approved. How can I read into this? It is good. Um, Second, lost my mother, and well, anyway. So the first one, no, don't read into it. Um, so maybe the work permit was approved because you still have another status in Canada. You are a rejected refugee, but because you are not removable, you apply for this. Many explanations could be happening, no? Uh, so don't read and is an approval of the agency. Um, so they said, lost my mother and aunt since they passed away due to COVID-19. How COVID-19 can be a strong reason for my application? It is, you have to collect information about that one, how COVID-19 have been affecting your life and how you decide to stay here, particularly if your mother and your aunt passed away back home. Because you say, look, the situation of COVID-19 back home is out of control. And you can use that information in a humanitarian way to make your application stronger. Can I get a copy of the presentation in PowerPoint or hard copy? As I said, the presentation will be in our website. You can download it and use it. The letter that is 1 month old is possible to use it, no problem. May you know sympathetic lawyers that work for FCA to make the application? Yes, we have sympathetic lawyers that do humanitarian application, but any sympathetic lawyer that I know charge. So you have to pay them or you have to apply for legal aid to have the services. So, and if you don't have the resources to hire a sympathetic lawyer, you can talk to us, or if you apply for legal aid and you don't receive it, maybe we can help you here in our office. The question is for your response. I have a registered company that is doing okay for the last 6 months, but my lawyer is not willing to take in more documents. So, as I said, if you are ready to submit everything, wait. And then when you have an opportunity, maybe 6 months or maybe more after you submit the H&C, you can try to convince the lawyer to do an update of the application, but has to be something that is crucial. I mean, that is so different to the information that you submit. If you already submit the information that your company is doing well, now is doing extremely well. So I think it's not enough to convince a lawyer to do an update. You need to have more elements to do an update. Let me see if I have another question. You don't have a work permit, how can you work? It is legal to work without a work permit? Come on, I am trying to explain that it's not legal to work without a work permit. What I am trying to say is that it's against the immigration law. Okay, do you have another option? Is the question. If you don't work even without a work permit, doesn't beat an application for H&C because it's pointless. No, and if you are saying your application, no, I don't work because I am not entitled to work in Canada, you will be refused. What I am saying is that it's your decision, but if you are not established, and established means working, you will be refused in your application for work permit. So, okay, community center, they asked me for an ID, immigration number, and a humanitarian and compassionate grounds in order that I can get registered. That's new for me because when you apply for a humanitarian application, you don't receive an ID number. Okay, sorry, you don't receive it. So you receive your ID or your UCI number later in the process if you are accepted. So in that case, there is no possible. If they ask for ID, I believe you. The ID, some community center, they ask you for an ID to proceed. And that's why people use the Ontario ID, or they produce the IDs that they have from back home, if you want to get services. But depend on the service that you want to have. But the humanitarian application doesn't provide an ID number. You know what I mean? Only is the UCI number, but later on in the process. So I finished with the questions. I have one in Spanish that I jump. So at this particular moment, I will read it. Um, in order that I can talk to, if you don't speak Spanish, you can close the presentation. I am going to finish in English, and I will only talk with this question in Spanish in order that you don't be bored. You can go out. Thank you for listening to me. And thank you for participating in the webinar. So now I am going to talk with them. Okay, thank you very much. Dice, escribo este correo con la esperanza de recibir una respuesta. Hace 3 años usted vino a London y dio una conferencia acerca de los procesos de refugio. Resulta que nosotros, mi familia y yo, déjeme ver dónde estoy. Resulta que nosotros entramos por la frontera y no tuvimos derecho a la réplica, o sea, a la apelación. Las razones que nos dieron para negarlo el refugio fue que podríamos regresar, viajar dentro del país. Esa es una razón que se ocupa mucho en algunos países. La revisión de la Corte y se ocupa en Colombia. Yo no digo que estoy de acuerdo, pero se ocupa. La revisión de la Corte Federal salió negativa y me gustaría poder hacer contar con la asesoría Sí, nosotros podemos asesorarlo, pero le digo que por favor aplique a Legal Aid. Legal Aid está cubriendo los costos de un abogado para lo de las razones humanitarias, y cuando usted tenga el certificado legal nos puede llamar para que nosotros lo comuniquemos o lo pongamos en contacto con algún abogado de los que trabaja a nuestro alrededor. Y si eso no funciona, nosotros aquí en la oficina le tomamos el caso. Ahora, ¿cuál es la diferencia? Que nosotros trabajamos con voluntarios, con estudiantes de derecho, con staff que tenemos acá. Entonces nos tardamos más en hacer el servicio de poner toda esta documentación para las razones humanitarias, pero sí le podemos ayudar. Nos puede mandar un correo electrónico a este correo que está aquí, que dice info@fcjrefugeecenter.org, y ahí usted pida, por favor, la lista de documentos que necesita recolectar para las razones humanitarias. Empiece a recolectarlos. Puede ahí también solicitar las aplicaciones que necesita, la solicitud de los formularios que necesita llenar. Y cuando usted tenga todo eso listo, si quiere, se comunica con nosotros y nosotros con gusto le ayudamos a perfeccionar la aplicación sin costo alguno para usted. Ok, entonces me retiro. Ha sido un placer estar con ustedes. Thank you very much for everything. Gracias y que tengan una noche muy bonita. Nos vemos. Adiós.